and welcome to a New Game Plus. I'm Tim, I'm joined by Kirsty. How are you?
I'm very excited to be back after our little Christmas break. This is our first episode to be recorded in 2014, which is very exciting.
Very exciting. We're into our third year.
I know. Oh my gosh, I
Big
feel
things
so
are
old.
happening.
I
New
know.
studios.
I know, new fancy bits and pieces. We're going to have some really cool new sets debuting for you over the coming weeks and months. So
certainly, but this episode for our first episode back in 2014, we've got some reviews.
Yes, now we've got some games that have actually been really big over Christmas because obviously the new year's been very quiet for new game releases.
And you need a handheld game to play during Christmas lunch and ignore
also
your family.
And also the car travels, you know, if you're doing the drives and stuff. So we've got a lot of handheld coming up. You've got one that's close to you.
So for our first review, we will be looking at Tearaway for the PlayStation Vita.
Yes.
A game I quite enjoyed.
I think it looks really cool. I'm interested to see this, but I've been lucky enough to be playing A Link Between Worlds, a new Legend of Zelda game, which is going to be fun.
It does look really good. I never played the first Link to the Past.
Oh, really? Oh, you're missing out. That is a bona fide classic.
Pick up an XL and play Link Between Worlds.
Everybody's moving into XL.
Yeah.
You know what? There's been a lot of people who have taken this year, the change of year, as the big time to move into the large screen.
And premiering this episode as well, we've got highlights of the first episode of our spin-off show, Graphic Content. And of course, these episodes are available online. But, we're going to show you the best of the first episode.
Yes, but let's go first into your review of Tearaway.
When your goals are big and scary, they're not hairy, they are scaly, crawls and human fabric.
Media Molecule are known for their charming platformers. Well, they're known for Little Big Planet anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, certainly. It's a PlayStation 3 game that I really enjoyed, and they're very well known for their creativity, and they're bringing that to the Vita.
With Tearaway, where instead of being a side-scrolling platformer with all your friends, it's a single-player campaign. You're adventuring as HYAH or HYAH, depending on your gender, as you try and deliver a message to you. Yes, you. Not you. You. In this lovely papercraft world.
Yeah, it certainly lends itself really well to the platform. It's a really well-developed world, and everything that you see in this papercraft world you can make yourself, and you have such a big influence on how the world looks around.
Well, kinda anyway. You do have some controlling elements of, say, creating a crown with the touchscreen and your fingers, but it's not really up to the job, is it?
Yeah, if only you had a stylus, I mean...
Yes, if only we had a stylus-powered handheld device.
Yes. But that said, it does work very well on the system and uses all the system's capabilities.
Oh yeah, it uses everything. Both cameras, both touchscreens, even the microphone gets put to really good use.
Yeah, the front camera shows yourself inside the game, and it's a little disconcerting for me.
Says the person who hosts a TV show.
Yeah, but that said, everything works really well together, and the gameplay, while it does start off very simple, it does develop later on in the game.
Yes, as you unlock abilities, hell, you don't unlock the jump ability until about half an hour in, but eventually the challenges become tough enough and that you need to use a bit of skill, and the platforming becomes rather enjoyable. One section in particular where you get introduced to the tilt functions.
Yeah, and the story as well really lends itself to the world. It's very sweet in the way it presents itself.
It's saccharine,
the ending itself just wraps it up really nicely. And it's really
it is just charming, isn't it? But it is very much a sweet game. It is very much a Media Molecule game, which is never a bad thing. It just feels like a launch game that's kind of 1.5 years too late, maybe?
Yeah.
Still good nonetheless.
Now, something that I forgot to mention in the review, it's a great game for parents playing with their kids because as you see the colourless models in the game, you can take pictures of them and they all get colour, and you can download the papercraft plans after you've done that. So you can make little papercraft tearaways for your kids.
See, that's really cool because that's one thing that, I don't know, there's the only games I've seen that have made use of that feature are things like Barbie Fashion Designer, where, they would actually, what you could get was special paper, like a fabric paper you'd print and you'd make the clothes and you stick them together. So I don't know, I can see that really working because I don't know, for me the Vita seems more like an adult toy more than a kid's toy. Like I feel that if I dropped a Vita on the ground it would smash into a million pieces and disintegrate, whereas if I drop a DS it just kind of bounces. And because it's made of Nintendium, which is the hardest substance known to man. But anyway, the game, let's go back to the game.
The game, it's fantastic. It brings me back to the old days of how games used to be, just exploring, collecting things, a bit of combat thrown and they're
See, the one
platforming.
thing I remember is sometimes when you were playing this at the studio, you couldn't contain yourself because you were just so excited by the game, and also some of the parts of the games required you to be vocal or to do things, and that's something you don't get that much in games, particularly for like adults. I mean, kids are always moving the screen around, you know, or like, you know, so I don't know, that really excited me to see you, somebody who's such a PC serious business gamer, kind of getting so involved in a handheld game.
Play it when you get your Vita TV.
Yay. So I've actually stepped away from the puzzlers this time, and I'm checking out a game called Puffington by HYAH Studios. And I have to say, this is one of the most kind of heartwarming games I've played in a really long time. The story is you are Sir Puffington, a very traditionally British fish, sounding like he's come out of the turn of the century, and his lovely ladyfish has been captured by some nefarious no-gooder, and you have to swim and you have to go and save her. The whole game is just completely filled with this really old school nostalgic kind of styling to it. So everything's in sepias, it's all this kind of old school record gramophone sounding music, and it's always cute little, I don't know, quintessential British phrases like tally-ho and morning, and it's just really cute. So the whole controls of the game is just one button basically. You press anywhere on the screen for Mr. Puffington or Sir Puffington to puff himself up to float upwards. You dodge all the different kind of dodging bits, I suppose, all the spiky bits on top of platforms, dodging and weaving through the platforms to collect 3 coins or collecting as many coins as you want. There is a bit of, you know, in-game currency going, so you can purchase little power-ups, little help-alongs, but I never felt forced into actually doing microtransactions. So I thought the game struck a really nice balance where you could complete the game without spending any more money on it. Again, I said the music and the art style works really nicely. The gameplay was basically flawless. There's heaps of in-jokes. So for a bit of fun on your iPhone or your iPad, you really can't go wrong with Puffington. Well, for our comic book fans out there, we've got a bit of a surprise for you. We've got a monthly spin-off show called Graphic Content, and we're about to show you some of the real highlights from our first episode.
Yep, certainly there's some great interviews in there. It's hosted by Jason as well as Ben Michael Byrne, who you may remember from our very first episode of New Game Plus. Lots of exciting content there. It's monthly. It'll be up on our website all the time with extra content. Be sure to check it out if you're a fan of comics.
All right, here we are, the inaugural episode of Graphic Content, the New Game Plus spin-off show.
What's your name?
My name's Jason. I was getting to that, jeez.
Sorry.
All right, so here we are. We're at Gifts for the Geek. It's a monthly show. We're going to cover some awesome stuff, and you are Ben Michael Byrne.
I am the dude who writes and illustrates the comic Crampton. If you haven't heard of it, then shame on you.
Well, no, don't. You can't
But I love
shame
you
me.
anyway.
Okay, good, thanks. All right, so should we explain what we're doing here?
Let's.
Let's. Okay, so we've got some reviews of some comics, which you would expect. We have an Aussie Spotlight, which this month is Tom Taylor. We've also got some creator interviews. I don't know, I think that sounds pretty good. I'm excited about it.
I am also equally of an excitement level of over 9,000.
Don't. He tried to, anyway. But let's just get into the Aussie creator, Tom Taylor. He's all right.
He's awesome. I think he's a very nice person.
Okay.
I regard him highly.
Hi, my name's Tom Taylor. I am a professional comic book writer. I'm the writer of Injustice, Gods Among Us, piles of Star Wars books like Blood Tides and Invasion. I'm the creator of The Deep, about a multi-ethnic family of underwater explorers who live on a submarine and their adventures, which is joyous and will fill your heart with rainbows. Buy it. I was a professional playwright. I was a professional juggler. I used to eat fire and juggle knives for a living, and now I do terrible, terrible things to Superman.
All right, so comic book reviews. We thought we'd have a look.
Comics.
Yeah, correct, thank you. We thought we'd do 2, and we'll do 2 every month. The 2 for this month are Animal Man and
Transmetropolitan.
Transmetropolitan. Now, Transmetropolitan, we'll leave
By
that to
Warren
the end.
Ellis and illustrated by Derek Robinson.
Thank you, well done.
You're welcome.
It's almost like you've done it before.
I may have
Okay.
seen the comic on my own shelf because I love it. Spoiler, it's great.
It is great. And look, let's just go straight into it. Like, Transmet, fantastic series, and I think, if anything, the most insightful political commentary that I think I've ever read. And it's set 200, 300 years in the future.
Yes, but it's as relevant today as it was then.
Yep, and it's the thing is, it's not new either. This is, who wrote it, 15 years ago? It's got to be at least.
Well, I read it when it was already up to trade 7 or 8 in 2000, so yes,
Yep.
I agree with the words.
So, and this is the thing, his view on like the interactivity of the internet, on news groups, on everything, is about as spot on as you could ever ask for. Like, and he even covers things like furries and all these things that you wouldn't even have.
He has a prescience about that word being wrong.
Yes, correct. But like, either way, I think it stands as probably the best series I've ever read. I cannot really find a fault with it.
No, I must admit, whenever I'm trying to tell people what to read, they say, oh, what sort of comics should I get into? And they don't really have a specific taste. They're not superhero or anything. That's the comic I tell them. I can't describe it, I can't categorise it, but
it's hard to say. Go read a story about a journalist who covers the political election in the world, in America at the time. I mean, people go, oh, great, an election 200 years from now, that's going to be great. Yeah, but it's brilliant. So, Animal Man, different story, very different kind of the New 52 Animal Man, I should say.
Yes.
It's a completely different tack to.
It's the new 52.
Thank you. Where it starts off and you learn of Animal Man, who's this superhero in his own little world. He has a wife, he has kids. Turns out his daughter is like the chosen one. As cliche as that sounds, the series isn't actually too bad.
No.
You're particularly fond of the art from our.
I love the art by Travel Foreman.
Travel Foreman, which isn't a job title, is actually
that's
somebody's
his
name. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, really.
But like it has
Google it.
It has a very Japanese style.
Yes.
Yeah, like I don't know, it just strikes me as very manga-ish. And you were saying that it's the monster designs and all that kind of stuff that does.
He does an amazing monster. I love those sort of, I like proper skin crawly kind of monsters. Not so much big and hairy and scary, but just that real, make the skin of your balls go.
Yeah, the ick factor. And I think that's what he picks up from the Japanese. They do ick better than anybody. They do tentacles and they do weird monstrosities better than anybody. I mean, look at ARKHAM alone. And I think, as a series, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, but I don't know. It seemed pretty good for what it was, and I don't. Would you recommend them? Is the big question. Transmet, I think, is a resounding yes.
Definitely Transmetropolitan. Definitely buy it. Don't even bother looking at the first trade. Just buy all 10 trades on eBay now.
Pretty much.
Animal Man, you may or may not like it. You will love the art, I think, unless you're not me. Whatever.
But as for the story, your mileage may vary.
Yes.
It's one of our favourite terms.
Is it biofuel or gas? Maybe corn syrup. Who knows? Woohoo! Electric.
Now, when you think of video game comic book crossovers, there are a lot of great titles that have existed in the past. Most recently, though, the one that comes to mind is ARKHAM Asylum. Now, Batman is one of those licenses that is very hard to translate out of comic books. Sometimes people succeed really well, and sometimes they don't. Luckily enough, ARKHAM Asylum was one that translated very, very well. It took the story of one night in ARKHAM Asylum where the Joker breaks free and you're locked in and you have to solve the crime of what he's done, yada, yada, yada. You find all the famous Batman villains, but the big thing about it is the fact that it does so well in entrenching you in that world. It's effectively Zelda. When you think of the gameplay, you go back and forth through different places until you find skills to unlock different areas. But as far as the storytelling mechanism goes, Mark Hamill as the Joker does a fantastic job. Kevin Conroy as Batman, and I think should be Batman on screen if he wasn't getting on in years. But they do a really good job of conveying the story of ARKHAM Asylum and conveying that relationship that Batman and the Joker have. Not to mention all the other people who show up, Harley Quinn, Killer Croc. There's plenty of people in this game that tie back to the comic book and I guess the larger Batman universe. And I think that's what makes this game succeed so well as a crossover franchise. The gameplay's there, it's still a lot of fun, the combat is fantastic, not to mention the fact that it's actually interesting to watch and would introduce a lot of new people to a comic book that they may or may not have read. So realistically, if you're looking for one of the better crossovers of recent years from the comics world into the games world, ARKHAM Asylum.
I'm joined today by Brian Michael Bendis, the big man at Marvel, one of the big men at Marvel. How do you feel about that title?
Guy, you can see I'm not a big man. Right now, you're towering over me like...
I'm a fairly tall man myself, so...
I feel like Frodo in Lord of the Rings.
Well, I mean, let's do a bit of a sound test. You've obviously done your own stuff, Jinx and a few others, but you've done a lot of the Marvel names as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I write Ultimate Spider-Man, The Avengers, and right now I'm writing I'm one of the writers of Avengers vs. X-Men, and a lot of other stuff that's coming up. So,
Well, I mean, of those, what is your favourite? Do you like working on your own stuff still, or are some of the series really stolen your heart?
I'm equally passionate about my creator-owned work and my work for hire. They all have my name on it. They all are passionate. I feel as much emotion for Ultimate Spider-Man as I do for the characters and powers. It's just the way my brain works. I'm happy that way because everyone's getting the best from me as often as possible. So right now, I mean, I feel a lot of emotion for different characters for different reasons. I'm in love with Miles Morales, the new Spider-Man. I'm very proud. As we're here in Melbourne, everyone else in comics is in Chicago at C2E2, and I'm just getting report after report of, there's more people in Miles Morales Spider-Man costumes than Spider-Man costumes, and people are being very emotional about him there, and it's wonderful.
Well, you've also, outside of comics, you've also got a lot of other stuff. You've helped with the films and the games, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm right now. Well, I did the Ultimate Spider-Man game a few years ago, and right now I'm working on the Marvel MMO. I'm the head writer of the Marvel MMO, and we've got a crazy elaborate story that takes you all over the Marvel universe, and that should be out this year. So,
well, thank you very much for your time, and hope you've enjoyed Australia.
I love it here. I do. I absolutely love it here.
So there we are, the end of graphic content, the very first episode. Are you relieved? Are you...
I feel really good. I think it was a happy time for everyone.
A happy time for
and a happy ending.
I think, no, you had to go.
No.
Anyway. That was, back then was an archive interview with Brian Michael Bendis. We'll have some more interviews coming up. We'll have some more reviews. We'll have some more Oz Spotlights. I mean, is there anything you're excited to do coming up?
Ooh, well, I am building a 2/5 scale King Tiger tank at home that I can drive.
And I thought you were joking when you said that to me. I remember when you said, I'm like, if there's anyone on the planet I know who would actually mean they're going to build a tank, it's you. Did making a comic book based in a post-apocalyptic Cranbourne affect your decision to make a tank to drive through Cranbourne?
I'm going to say yes. A lot.
Is it because everybody's buying territories now and not just Excels?
Yeah, I want to make sure I can get a parking space and see those bastards try to tow me away.
Yes. I'm glad that you've got your priorities straight.
Very much.
I'm Samuels. I work for the company. It's about your mother. We think we may have found her, Amanda. To shut the book. Ripley.
So here's a game that was announced really recently, and you aren't really that convinced.
I don't know, like the last game was an abortion of a game, of course, the Colonial Marines, and everyone was very excited for Colonial Marines when the trailer first came out. So
agreed, yes.
Hopefully this doesn't repeat itself, but one thing that was lacking from that trailer was guns. It seems like they're going for that real atmospheric sort of game.
And that's a bit of a danger to me because a lot of those atmospheric games, bar The Last of Us, so I'm talking all the sci-fi atmospheric games I can think of in the past year didn't kind of live up to that kind of fanfare. Plus, I wasn't that convinced on the graphics. Every time I saw that hand come out, I thought it looks like a plastic. It looked like it's made of plastic. It didn't look real. But I don't know if that's an artistic choice though. So
I don't know if it's because it's Creative Assembly. Creative Assembly are known for the Total War games. So maybe they brought someone in to do a first-person game?
I think we need more information.
Alright, Kirsty, let's face it, when it comes to handheld Zelda titles, they've been in a rough patch for a while.
Oh, well, I got stuck on Phantom Hourglass and then just kind of threw in the towel because it was really, really frustrating. Then there was Spirit Tracks, which you kind of enjoyed a bit more, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was no Minish Cap, but I mean, that was the holy grail. But like I said, like everything after that wasn't exactly the best. So when it came to the time where Nintendo announced A Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, I don't know, my expectations were a little muddled, but...
I know, but this has been a really golden year for Nintendo. So luckily, this has come out, A Link Between Worlds, and it has really blown me out of the water.
Going into it, I was pleasantly surprised.
I
couldn't agree more.
The thing that really grabbed me, firstly, were the graphics. So, I mean, obviously, I really enjoyed Link to the Past. Graphics aren't everything, but this game just glows. There's this real warmth to it, and it's not from Bloom. It is actually just some beautiful graphics, and also this whole new introduction of the painting style, where characters get turned into paintings, also works really nicely.
Having said that, I'm in absolute love with the concept art. I mean, the charm that A Link to the Past had, which A Link Between Worlds is pretty much the direct sequel to, it really carries on that charm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, props to Monolith Soft, props to Nintendo for really passing the torch.
Yep. And it's really nice, and the whole new gameplay mechanic, I suppose, is based on that painting thing, where now you can actually meld yourself to a wall, and it also helps in the gameplay mechanic of traveling, being the link between the worlds. And I really found this great. This really opened all new possibilities for not only the puzzling side of doing all the dungeons, but also just for traversing the real world. So you could, I don't know, I thought it was a really clever mechanic.
It was good to see both worlds working in tandem, in conjunction with each other, but being different at the same time. So whereas with Hyrule, I mean, it was just what you'd expect. It's just, guards going around, enemies you can just pass off easy. Then you've got Lorule, which really goes into nitty gritty. Everyone's mean to you. Enemies hit you for like 2 hearts.
The cuckoos attack you.
The cuckoos attack you. Everyone just kicks you down, and I reckon it's something that should be encouraged within the Zelda universe. Even the gameplay mechanics as well. Instead of going into dungeons and finding items there and keeping them permanently, you get to rent items or purchase them outright for a really high fee. But the problem is, if you do end up dying, you lose all of those rental items and you have to start all over again.
So it's really quite clever. I mean, a couple of issues that I found with the game was actually having to get through all of those different items got a bit tiresome, even once you got the quick kind of
as soon as
quick
you started
attack
buying
one.
more.
Yeah, because I kept buying all of them.
Also, the difficulty really hits you. So once you traverse constantly through Hyrule and Lorule, solving particular issues, and going between them is quite hard. But I mean, if you're a fan, if you're a hardcore fan of Nintendo and you're looking for The Legend of Zelda Dark Souls Edition, look no further than A Link Between Worlds.
Now, one thing I forgot to mention in my review was one of my favourite jokes in Legend of Zelda was when you go into Lorule, did you get it? You meet the Princess Zelda of that realm, and her name is Hilda. Okay. So you've got Hilda and Zelda. Did you ever watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Oh, a few episodes.
The 2 aunts were Hilda and Zelda.
Oh, okay.
So when it happened, I just went, this is like watching Channel 10. this is Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Very funny. But otherwise, now this is a game you're excited for.
Yes. Possibly not that aspect of the game that I'm excited for.
Come on, you're a 90s kid. You should remember this.
Yeah. The game itself, though, it looks amazing, and it really, this is the game I'm putting time aside for.
Just be
getting
careful.
An Excel for.
You know what I really got caught up in this game was I kept thinking that the game was ending because it gets to these moments, you're like, oh, this could be the end of the game, but then it would continue, and that's not a bad thing. That's good game design because it's like suddenly this new hidden secrets suddenly appear to you, and it's like, oh, but yeah, it was crazy. You're gonna love it.
Yeah,
you're gonna enjoy it. Get some use out of your 3DS. But yes, next week, now this is going to be very exciting. We've got some great game reviews coming up for you, some really interesting content because we're about to start barreling into con season.
Yeah, and certainly there's a lot more games coming out now that we've come over that lull period. Yeah.
Yes, but better wrap it up for us, Timmy.
Yes, so visit our website, www.newgameplus.tv.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/NewGamePlusTV.
And follow our Twitter @NewGamePlusTV.
Thank you so much, Timmy, and we shall
Kirsty.
see you next week.